The final score, Wrexham 2, Newport County 0. Merry Christmas. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC, and that was a very, very satisfactory day at the office. Of course, Wrexham feel they owe Newport one after that 2013 playoff, and this was our first game as well with fans behind the Kop since we got relegated from the Football League. So it felt like there was a lot of significance. The atmosphere certainly lived up to it. Newport brought over 1,000 fans, and Wrexham came out to play, but the weather did as well, and that caused issues. As did Wrexham's team selection. Well, I'm not saying the team selection caused problems, but the fact is that Owen O'Connell had to drop out in the warm-up, which meant Max Cleworth stepped in for his first league start of the season, and Wrexham also had another change at the back, Arthur Okonkwo coming back from injury, replacing Mark Howard. Further good news on the bench, Stephen Fletcher returning from injury too. So, a very windy game, and that had a big effect. Newport turned us round from the toss, so we were kicking towards a Stoke cold brew coffee end first, and they got the opportunity to play towards the Kop and take advantage of a strong wind, which is mostly blowing behind them. The main effect the wind had was to break up play as well. It was difficult to really be constructive. Passes in the air immediately were hanging up and were very hard to judge. And as a result, it was a scrappy game. And in the first half, Newport took advantage of those conditions, but didn't do that to the extent where they scored, and that's where they would be penalised. First chance of any note, really, a moment of any note, came in the 21st minute as James Jones did well to feed Mullin down the right channel. He went down under pressure from Delaney and asked for a penalty. Maybe worth a shout, not a penalty for me, though. I don't think there was enough contact on him. And then Newport started to get on top, started to pen Wrexham in. Wrexham defended very well. The three centre-backs, Cleworth, Ben Tozer and Tom O'Connor, were excellent. But Newport did, after about 25 minutes or so, have a good 5 minutes of pressure. And they needed to score at that point when they were on top. They would be punished for not doing so. The first incident was very nearly a goal. 24th minute, Bogle doing really well to carry the ball from right to left, holding off challenges. Plays a lovely pass inside Jacob Mendy to put Will Evans in on goal. A tight angle on the left-hand side. He lashed it across Okonkwo, driving it into the top corner. And Okonkwo responded with an excellent save, throwing his hands up and tipping it around the bar. The corner caused problems as well. McLaughlin floated it in. Clark nodded it down. And a huge challenge by O'Connor on the line because Bogle was about a yard out and brought it down and looked like he was just going to hit it into the empty net, but O'Connor made a crucial challenge and deflected it over the bar. The pressure kept coming though, and Okonkwo had to make another great save 3 minutes later. Palmer Holden driving forwards, spreading the ball out wide, and when Delaney, the fullback, stood it back in, he'd made a run into the box, met it with a header, super tip by Okonkwo to his right to push it onto the post and away. Great work by the goalkeeper. Newport had to take those chances, clear chances on goal, and they didn't. A couple of minutes later, another opportunity. McLaughlin sweeping in a corner into a crowded penalty area. Okonkwo came to punch and did well to punch it away to the edge of the area, but Charsley had time to set himself, hit a powerful shot, which Delaney, on his knees, stuck a foot out for. It was heading towards goal. He deflected it and it went agonisingly across an unattended goal and just scraped the far post. If he'd left it, might have gone in anyway. And gosh, just the tiniest bit less contact from him and he'd have scored. So Wrexham massively riding their luck in that period. But we started to get back into things, started to take the game to them a bit more. And indeed, we had a moment when McLean made a brilliant driving run from inside the left flank, driving to the heart of the Newport defence, and then sadly played the pass in for Dalby a bit too powerfully and it rolled behind for a goal kick when maybe McLean would have been better off just to have a shot himself. But Wrexham were, apart from that 5 minute spell, coping with the disadvantage of having the wind against them pretty well and had another opportunity through a really nice breakaway. It was a quick throw by Dalby, throwing it into Mullin, who held it well, fed it back to Dalby. Dalby squared it to Cannon, and Cannon from about 25 yards smashed in a powerful shot, which was deflected over for a corner except the ref gave a goal kick, despite the fact not only was it a clear deflection, it was also a clear deflection off Delaney's hands. Delaney turned his back on the shot but stuck his arms out. It was a clear handball as well. It would have been a free kick in the D, but remarkably the referee made a goal kick out of it. But I think there was a sense of confidence about Wrexham as they went in at 0-0. Sure, we hadn't dominated like we often do in home matches, but the truth of the matter was that Newport County, with the advantage of the wind, weren't going to let us dominate. However, they hadn't taken advantage of that sort of elemental advantage they got, and you felt confident that Wrexham would punish them in the second half, which is exactly what would happen. 3 minutes in, a massive moment in the game. Cannon spreading it out wide. James Jones with a great cross. Mendy heading it just wide. Why a massive moment? Because it was a penalty. And no question on this one. Clark grabbing hold of Mullin, who was standing just beyond Mendy, grabs him by the shoulders and just hurls him to the floor. I mean, it was such a blatant penalty. Astonishing a linesman couldn't help the referee out with it. But Wrexham hugely frustrated. If that had happened then, Wrexham really, I think, would have run amok. But as it was, they made another opportunity with the ball being pulled back to Cannon on the edge of the area. And, he drove in. Well, I beg your pardon. Corner came in, was punched away. Well, the keeper missed it, basically. And McLaughlin blocked it on the line of his chest. It came back out to Cannon, and he had an effort on goal with his head, but couldn't get enough power on it. And the goalkeeper, Townsend, could get up, come across, and catch it. So a real lucky escape. But around just before the hour mark, Wrexham really started to get a proper grip on proceedings. And well, it ended with a goal, and you could see the goal coming from about 5 minutes off because Newport just couldn't clear their lines. They were defending desperately, but they just couldn't resist the tide. It was just like that spell Newport had in the first half, but Wrexham got a goal when they had their opponents where they wanted them. Firstly, a great move ended with McLean feeding it square to Lee. Lee driving forward from midfield, hit a terrific shot from 25 yards, hit the post, bounced back, hit the keeper. Obviously could easily have gone in, but bounced just wide for the corner. The corner, McLean swept it in. Lee attacked it, but from 8 yards out, headed it over the bar. But it was just goal kick, Wrexham win it back. Goal kick, Wrexham win it back. The pressure was terrific. Mendy, who was more and more adventurous on the right, feeding into Dalby, who pinned his man, span, and hit an excellent shot across the keeper and just off target. And then Tozer hurling in a long throw, a defender getting ahead to it and glancing it across his own goal and just wide of the post. From that corner, well, a remarkable instant. How it didn't go in is beyond me. McLean sweeping in the corner. Cleworth hitting it, meeting it about 8 yards out. His efforts cleared off the line, but drops to Dalby with a very tight angle but an open goal. He hits it across the face of goal. He puts it wide of the far post. Mullin, standing at the far post, lunges in and must be a fraction of an inch short of tapping it into an empty net. Incredible let-off, but Newport couldn't keep riding their luck, and in the 63rd minute, the breakthrough came. I thought Newport centre-backs defended very well, except in open play. But in set pieces, they were so vulnerable. Tozer's throws, of course, no sorts of problems. McLean's corners, likewise. I think it might even have been there were so many bodies in there that the centre-backs who'd done so well suddenly found people in the way, and there seemed to be an awful lot of confusion and colliding and failures to make proper clean challenges in the air. But they were finally punished, like I said, 63rd minute. Tozer throwing it in, Dalby flicking it on. It dropped in the goal mouth. Mullin and Lee both back to goal on the edge 6-yard box. Mullin managed to get a foot to it and squeeze it perfectly back to James Jones, and Jones smashed it in from about 8 yards to give Wrexham the lead and score, of course, the first goal in front of fans at the Cop End in 25 years, or 26 years actually, since Neil Roberts scored a penalty against Accrington. Newport actually responded quite well to that goal and had their first decent spell, in fact really I suppose their only decent spell of the second half. They had an opportunity when Evans took a poor throw. Mendy should have dealt with it, but it hit it straight back to him, and he swept the ball back in, and Wilde just couldn't quite reach it as he lunged towards the edge of the box. Edge of the 6-yard box. 73rd minute, Wrexham made a change. Stephen Fletcher making his welcome return to the team. Dalby came off, having put in a very good shift, and Fletcher immediately was getting involved and would have been frustrated not to have scored after a lovely piece of combination play between Mullin and McLean down the left-hand side. Mullin started off by hassling McLaughlin to win the ball back, and then the duo just really had a good time on the left. Lovely passing and movement. Mullin pulled it back, and Fletcher hit the shot straight at the keeper from 10 yards. A defender in the way probably made it a bit more difficult for him than he wanted it to. Then McLean ripping in a ball to the far post, Fletcher retrieving it and pulling it back perfectly for Cannon, and a bad miss. This 8 yards out, 10 yards out, and just made no real contact on it. Just shoveled it through to the keeper. Before the 87th minute, Wrexham got the breakthrough. Again, Tozer's throw, and this time an assist from a throw. He slung it in towards the penalty spot. Lee attacked it. Lovely header because he had the defender grabbing hold of him, but managed to move his body around, head it across the keeper and inside the right post. Lovely finish. And Wrexham were in the comfort zone. Young came on for Cannon with a couple of minutes left. Mullin in the 90th minute so nearly got the goal as his effort deserved when he picked the ball up from McLean and lashed a brilliant first-time snapshot across the keeper, curling inside the far post. A magnificent save by Townsend. We were right behind it. Mullin nailed it, and Townsend, just brilliant reflexes, dived to his left and managed to push the ball around the post. And that was essentially it. Mullin and Lee were brought off in the second minute of added time, more for applause than anything else. Jake Bickerstaff and Jordan Davis came on, and Wrexham rode through it comfortably and got a win in our Welsh derby. Excellent stuff. Looking at the performances, well, Okonkwo's 2 first-half saves were massive. If he hadn't done that, I still feel Wrexham would have been able to come back and win it in the second half, but the saves made it a lot more easy. The centre-backs were excellent, all 3 of them. Tozer made a number of crucial interceptions. Cleworth and O'Connor were tested up by Bogle, who's a big, strong target man, and they both won their battles with Bogle. It was really impressive to see. On the flanks, McLean was excellent, made great tackles, good delivery, constant energy up and down. Really pleasing to watch. Mendy on the right-hand side again did well. A real battle. Will Evans. Interesting, Evans got 14 goals this season, but he was playing as a wing-back. And in the first half, with the wind pushing Newport forwards, he was getting at Mendy, who didn't have many chances to come forwards. But Mendy was pretty solid defensively. And then in the second half, when Mendy came forwards, he was causing real problems, especially when he came inside. And he was coming very, very narrow into central positions. And yeah, that movement really troubled Newport. In midfield, Lee was man of the match. If there's any question about that, even though, as we said in the commentary, there were a lot of 7.5 out of 10 performances. But Lee was magnificent. From the start, he was imposing himself. His work rate when we had to defend, we now take as a given. His passing, especially in the wind, confident to whip switch passes and get them right when the wind was affecting the ball terribly, was very impressive. He really deserved his goal. He hit the post. He kept driving play forwards. Great performance by Lee. Cannon next to him was very good, and I thought especially in the first half when we were under the cosh, he really battled for the ball. He would carry the ball out of defence and relieve the pressure. And I thought Cannon did very well, notwithstanding the big miss he had at 1-0. And then the other central midfielder, James Jones. In the first half, his passing was a little bit off. But as the game wore on, he more and more imposed himself and was really feeding some good stuff in towards the edge of the area. Got his goal as well, which he deserved. Dalby battled well against the central defenders. Mullin too. The 2 of them really should have got a lot more free kicks from the referee, who didn't give them much protection at all. They were manhandled like crazy. Mullin's work rate again terrific, and he deserved the goal at the end that the keeper denied him. And when Fletcher came on, it was just that Fletcher thing, wasn't it? He comes on, everyone wants to play with him. And they're all knocking it around, neat little passes and giving goals on the left-hand side. It was great to watch Fletcher. Brilliant to have him back, and let's see if we can get him fit to start matches. That would be quite something. So a really satisfying victory in the derby match, and Wrexham now go on to the Boxing Day game. Of course, you can stream that live wherever you are in the world because the embargo doesn't count on it, so you can watch or stream it live on Boxing Day. I'm looking forward to popping back down to Swindon. Been a while. So with a final score of Wrexham 2, Newport County 0, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham FC.